Iris, off we go. 1 second.
Oh, just a minute.
Oh, sorry, let me record. 1 second. Gotta record. 1 second. Oh, we are recording. Okay, fine, right. Okay. Yep.
Right. God reveals himself to Abraham 3 days after the first Jew's circumcision at age 99. But Abraham rushes off to prepare a meal for 3 guests who appear in the desert heat. One of the 3, who are angels disguised as men, announces that in exactly 1 year, the barren Sarah will give birth to a son. Sarah laughs. Abraham pleads with God to spare the wicked city of Sodom. 2 of the 3 disguised angels arrive in the doomed city, where Abraham's nephew Lot extends his hospitality to them and protects them from the evil intentions of a sodomite mob. The 2 guests reveal that they have come to overturn the place and to save Lot and his family. Lot's wife turns into a pillar of salt when she disobeys the command not to look back at the burning city as they flee. While taking shelter in a cave, Lot's 2 daughters, believing that they and their father are the only ones left alive in the world, get their father drunk, lie with him, and become pregnant. The 2 sons born from this incident father the nations of Moab and Ammon.
Right, sorry, more coming up. I'm just trying to get it to share properly, right? Carry on, yeah.
Abraham moves to Gerar, where the Philistine king Abimelech takes Sarah, who is presented as Abraham's sister, to his palace. In a dream, God warns Abimelech that he will die unless he returns the woman to her husband. Abraham explains that he feared he would be killed over the beautiful Sarah. God remembers his promise to Sarah and gives her and Abraham a son, who is named Isaac, Yitzhak, meaning will laugh. Isaac is circumcised at the age of 8 days. Abraham is 100 years old and Sarah 90 at their child's birth. Hagar and Ishmael are banished from Abraham's home and wander in the desert. God hears the cry of the dying lad and saves his life by showing his mother a well. Abimelech makes a treaty with Abraham at Beersheba, where Abraham gives him 7 sheep as a sign of their truce. God tests Abraham's devotion by commanding him to sacrifice Isaac on Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Isaac is bound and placed on the altar, and Abraham raises the knife to slaughter his son. A voice from heaven calls to stop him. A ram, caught in the undergrowth by its horns, is offered in Isaac's place. Abraham receives the news of the birth of a daughter, Rebekah, to his nephew, Bethuel.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, so that's this week's Sedra. Right, oh, okay, now. So we're actually going to talk about the chop today. The chop is the laying notes, okay? So when you look at a piece of text, you have, oh, I should have put it on the screen. This is silly, but you have certain notes, right? I'll point some out in a minute. We're going to talk about a note called shalshelet. Shalshelet only occurs 4 times, I think, in the Torah, and it goes like this, basically. Shalshelet. So you have a note. Those who may be familiar with this, you have pazer, which goes pazer. So basically 3 pazers in a row. It's a very unusual note, and it's kind of a pregnant pause is the phrase that comes to mind. And it occurs this week with Lot on the word by Yisma Maya. He delayed. So the notation of any piece of text, but particularly Chumash, is obviously not accidental. It's part of the Masorah, the tradition, and sometimes the notes give us an insight into what is going on. There's a particular reason why you'll have certain notes that denote a pause or that help the flow of the text, and sometimes knowing the chop and the notes can help us to understand the text. Trying to think of an example off the top of my head, and I can't. I just thought of one.
Rabbi, is one of them
Yes.
to do with a hesitation? Maybe Moshe hesitating or something?
Yes, so the shalsheles we find particularly denotes hesitation. I don't think we have one for, there's one, yes, there's one in Vayikra.
There's one in Michael's Bar Mitzvah Sedra, which is shalshelet.
Maybe there's 5 in the Torah, maybe I've miscounted. There's one in Vayikra, Vayishcha. I don't remember the context. We're going to look at the context of a couple
There's
of
one in South as well, my husband tells me. Because
Oh, that's the one. Maybe it's in Tzav. Sorry, not Vayikra. 1 second. Maybe I've miscounted. I thought there were 5. 1
there's
second.
South.
It's in Shavi.
In Shavi. Beginning of Shavi in South.
Oh, thank you. Right. I'm cheating. I'm just
It's David's Bar Mitzvah Sedra.
4 times. Vayikra 8:23 doesn't mention Bamidbar. Whereabouts is it in Michael's?
I haven't got a Chumash to hand, I'm afraid.
Right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was in Shalach, and I remember him saying it only appears 4 times.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So I've only got, according to my quick Google, everyone says 4 times, and the 4 times we're given are 3 times in Bereshis, which we're going to look at now, and once in Vayikra. Okay. It could be. We'll have to look into it. Maybe ask him next. Oh, you're going to see him. I was going to say next time you see him. You're about to see him. Okay. Anyway, in the meantime, we're going to look at the one in this week's Sedra. So before we do that, there's a kind of theme. The shalshelet we'll look at in a minute. Basically looks like a kind of a wavering, a quivering, a trill, a vibration back and forth, which is not coincidence. It often denotes hesitation or sort of trepidation or vacillation between 2 opposites. Anyone ever heard the phrase, you can't dance at 2 weddings? Yeah? It's a Yiddish phrase. I don't know how you say it in Yiddish. Kann ich tanzen bei 2 chasnas or something like that. Anyway, so before we come to that, anyone know what the biblical sort of equivalent of that is, where it started? It's famous Haftarah. Famous story.
No,
No.
we don't know.
Right, it's Elijah and the prophets of Baal. It's a very famous story. It's a Haftarah, I think, of Kisisa, the golden calf, if I'm not mistaken. And the Haftarah talks about the people were worshipping the gods of Baal, and Elijah comes and says, how long will you basically, the phrase he uses is, Posev b'shtei hasifim, which means basically go both sides of the fence. In other words, really, it's a way of saying, how long will you sit on the fence? Either you worship God, you worship Baal. You can't have it both ways. And basically stop sitting on the fence, right? You can't do both. You can't dance at 2 weddings. You can't be one and then be the other as well. So decide which it is. Make a decision. Get off the fence, basically. This is the original quote from Kings. Here we go. Right? Who wants to read that?
Shall I read?
Go on.
Elijah approached all the people and said, how long will you keep wavering between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, and if Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word.
Right. Sometimes we don't want people who are wishy-washy, quite honestly. Sometimes it's quite nice to just, not nice. Sometimes you need to take a stand, right? We're not taking a position on the war with Ukraine. We don't want to upset the Russians. We keep both sides happy. At some point, you can't do that. Some point we have to say to people, either you're with me or you're not. Anyone think of, actually, it's that very parsha, the golden calf, where Moshe says, whoever's with me, come forward, and otherwise basically get lost, right? So you might say, surely it's better that people should be kind of wishy-washy than people should go off the rails completely. Sometimes that's actually more dangerous, right? I believe that many of the accounts of early Christianity, the famous, the story that they say that Paul wrote Nishmas. Anyone heard that? Don't remember somewhere, the prayer Nishmas we say on Shabbos morning. Nishmat kol chai tavarech. There is a view that Paul wrote it to prove he was still a good Jew, and that he was sent by the Sanhedrin basically to form a new religion, because like we say nowadays, as dangerous as Christian missionaries may be, Jews for Jesus is even more dangerous because it conflates everything together. So sometimes you have to say to people, no, yeah, it's black and white, either this or that. You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. So you might say, well, surely it's better to have Jews that are putting on tefillin and putting up mezuzahs and keeping kosher and Shabbos, but believe in Yoshka. So according to that view, the Sanhedrin said, no, we don't want this mishmash and this cholent. Either you're with us or you're not. Either you believe in God or you believe in Yoshka. You believe in Yoshka, go off and do your own thing.
So are you saying that Mishmas, which we read every Shabbos,
Yes,
is written by Paul?
I have heard such a view. Let me Google it.
It's really strange.
I know, but the view is that he wasn't the rebel founder of Peter, apparently, not Paul.
I thought he was the one who mainly was instrumental in creating a separate religion.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Peter.
Actually, I think Peter was a bit, because wasn't it Peter who had a vision of the animals, all the kosher and non-kosher animals coming down in a sheet or something from heaven, and God saying that it was okay to eat all of them?
Okay. Sorry, say that again.
I think that was Peter.
Oh, yes. Interesting. Okay, I just Googled it. There's a chap called Shimon ben Kaffa, who it seems some say was Peter. Others say it was Saul. And that he wrote
Ben
it through.
Kafra would mean son of a rock, wouldn't it?
Yes. No, Kaffa.
Peter was called Simon Peter's name.
Yes.
Rock.
Yes. I think we need to do some more research on that. But anyway, there is definitely a view that early Christianity, there was a push by the Sanhedrin at the time to make it break away from Judaism. Rather than having these sects within Judaism that were heretical, they should go and do their own thing, right? There is such a view. So, any rate, this is the original source, right? You can't dance at two weddings. You can't have it both ways, right? You know the old joke about the rabbi's wife who was watching the rabbi adjudicate a dispute, and the couple came to speak to the rabbi. They're having a problem, and the husband says one thing, the wife says another, and the husband says whatever he says, and the rabbi says you're right, and the wife says whatever she says, and the rabbi says you're right too, and the rabbi's wife is incredulous. She says, darling husband, how can they both be right? That's ridiculous. He says, you know what, you're right.
You're
too.
right as well.
Yeah, but you can't all be right. Okay, so anyway, here's a nice little cartoon. You can dance at two weddings. There you go. On Zoom. Okay, right. Anyway, that was during lockdown. Okay, so you can't dance at two weddings. You cannot be in two places at once. You can't hold two conflicting opinions faithfully, right? Sometimes you have to make a choice and a decision. So the shalshelet, which is coming up now, this is the shalshelet in this week's Hedra, right? It's on the word by Yismama, because it goes, that's the one, that little angry red zigzag, right? A lot of the notes, by the way, I should have probably put them all on screen. It's a shame, actually, sorry. So for example, there is a note, Zarko, which is like a little, can't remember what they call it. There's a name for it. Tilde, I think, right? A little S on its side. Yeah, that you sometimes see, print character. So that goes Zarko. So musically, it's like the symbol. In fact, anyone ever seen anyone laning doing this with their hands? I can't see myself on the screen for some reason. This is weird. 1 second.
We can't see you on the screen
Sorry.
either.
Right. Can you see me now?
I can see you.
No.
Right.
I can see you.
Okay. Occasionally, you'll see a person laning. I haven't found someone who can do this yet. Maybe we should teach Julian to do this and make my laning a lot easier for me. Occasionally, you'll see someone laning and they're doing hand signals. They go like this. Ma path pash. So if you're doing Shema, for example, V'ahavta es Hashem lekecha chol havacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meidecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele. Don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm basically visualizing the notes. So ha'ele asher hai anoichi kavacha. So sometimes people do that when they don't know the trop, and people do it next to them. It's quite helpful. Basically, it is a physical manifestation. It's a visualization. So a lot of the notes. So shalshelet looks like a zigzag. Shalshelet. And in this week's subject, it's on the word by Yismama, which means he delayed, which is no coincidence. because it conveys uncertainty and pause and delay and sort of what's the word? Fluctuating, not fluctuating, what do you call it? Oscillating. There's a better word. Maybe it's fluctuating between different opinions, different sides. Should I do this? Should I do that? Right? He paused. He wasn't sure. Goes up and down. It doesn't move to the next note. This is what the 16th century commentator Rabbi Yosef ibn Kaspi, don't know where he lived, possibly Italian even. This is what he said about it. Who would like to read? Anyone?
I will.
Pam.
Rabbi Joseph ibn Kaspi comments that the trop here evokes a sense of uncertainty and hesitation. The notes of the shalshelet allow for the reader to linger on the word, going up and down the musical scale 3 times, and its trop symbol physically takes the shape of a zigzag, evoking the idea of going backwards and forwards. The shalshelet is a note of uncertainty, an expression of feeling torn between the past and the future.
Right. So just by the way, this is Rabbi Sacks called this the music of ambivalence. There's a lovely article with similar theme by Joanne Greenaway about this, about listening to the music of the Sedra. We often don't pay attention to the notes when we don't all know the notes. It's a skill to know the notes, but actually there's a whole other dimension to the laning indicated by the notes. So here we've got this uncertainty. Lot is pausing before leaving. Now we'll come back to why that is, but let's just look at a few other examples of the shalsheles, because we find this in other places as well. So the first place we find it is this week. The next place we find it is actually, I think, not sure what center it is. It's when Eliezer goes to find a wife for Yitzchak. That's told us, isn't it? Maybe. No, Chayesara, must be Chayesara. Oh, I should know this. I think it's Chayesara. Anyway, when Eliezer goes to find a wife for Yitzchak, this is what we find. When he goes, basically, he's by the well and he's watching, right? Rivka. Remember, he was told to see who's got good character, who's got nice chesed, who's kind, and this will be the right person for Yitzchak. So he sees Rivka and she's kind, and he's hesitant. And this is what it says. Again, you've got the shalshelet. I blew it up there. So this is how it goes. Pause. You've got another pause actually. Adonai Shem, Elokei Adonai Shem, Avraham. So it says he paused. He said to himself. It connotes that he's going back and forth. He didn't just say, "God, please help me. I should have good luck with my quest." He's hesitant. Why is he hesitant? Anyone know? Or any idea why he might be hesitant? Why would he be hesitant? He's a man on a mission. He's held up as the ultimate servant always. And here's Eved Abraham, the servant of Abraham. He was the ultimate, faithful servant. Why would he be hesitant?
It's worried whether he could fulfill his mission.
Yes, simply that. There is a view that he was uncomfortable with the whole premise of the thing. The girl that's going to be Yitzchak's wife is going to be the one that basically has this omen that she draws water for her camels. And he said, wait a minute, we're not supposed to go by omens in Judaism, are we? Right? We're not supposed to say, the red sky at night, shepherd's delight, and things like that. So one view is his hesitant. How do you know he's hesitant? Because of the trop. Sorry, 1 second. Gabby, are you okay? Okay, let me put the lights on for you, okay?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice and
Are you going to do it? Okay, right. So the trop here, without the trop, we wouldn't know this. But the trop, the shalshelet conveys hesitancy. So what might the hesitancy be? So there is a suggestion, right? This is a quote from Devarim. This is a prohibition. I'll just read it quickly, shall I? Oh no, someone else can read. Who hasn't read yet? Who can see? Would like to read? Deborah?
Read. I think
Yeah.
I could. Yeah. Let no one be found among you who consign a son or daughter to the fire, or who is an
Olga.
Ogre, a soothsayer, a diviner, a sorcerer.
So, right, the son of the daughter of fire, this was Molech. People used to pass their children through fire and things, unfortunately, right? Sometimes offer them, which is also this week's Sedra. But an augur, soothsayer, they're different types of people who would, divination, whether it was with a divining stick, or someone would say, if a, I don't know, whatever, if a sparrow flies out of its nest at 6 o'clock, it means this will happen or that will happen, or Red Sky Night, Shepherd's Delight, or whatever, right? All these kind of things. A black cat crosses your path, right? Or people who look to the future. So, so the Gemara says, I may not have put it here actually. It's stuck. Second. No, sorry, no, it doesn't. I couldn't find the Gemara. I found that it was too long. But the Gemara basically discusses signs and omens. We often joke, we say, well, Judaism, you're not supposed to be superstitious, you're not supposed to go by, but then don't we always do things like that? We say that this is a good omen, good mazel or bad mazel or this kind of thing. So one view is that the Gemara brings in Chulin is that Eliezer felt that this was kind of close to pagan practice. He's been told basically to go and see which girl acts in a certain way. Now the Gemara rejects that and says, no, surely, if I would say to you, the first girl in a red dress, that's the girl for my son, how do you know? Oh, I don't know, red is a lucky color. That's a bit weird, right? If I say to you, the girl that you see who has good qualities and is kind and loving, surely that's not black magic, right? Or superstition. That's just good character. Surely that is what you should look for in a life partner. So the Gemara says actually this, if his hesitancy was that, not so sure. The Midrash offers a different explanation. This is what the Midrash says. Who would like to read? Source 7.
Shall I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Till that point, says the Midrash, he had been sitting and weighing whether his own daughter was suitable for Isaac.
Ah.
Right. Why would he think that?
He's good around camels.
He had a very good reason to think that. It was last week's Sedra.
Well,
What happens when Avram's gone?
he was the most important servant in Abraham's house,
Yes.
and he was going to be if Abraham had no sons,
Yes.
he was going to be
Right.
he was going to be the
That's it. Yeah.
the heir.
Right.
So
He was the designated heir.
he's an important person.
Right. So this is not him having ideas above his station. Avram said to him last week here, Avram said, "Oh Lord, what can you give me? I shall die childless. The one who will take my estate is Damasek Eliezer." He was Syrian, apparently, right? Is Eliezer. So Avram had basically said, he's my heir. So it would seem logical then that he should feel that if Avram sees him as his, heir, that he has some connection there. So according to the Midrash, that's the other reason, which is a really interesting one, which I haven't printed here, sorry either, is that Avram says to him, he says to Avram, what if the woman is unwilling to come back with me? Right, we've seen the Sedra this week. When Avram says to him, go find a woman, he says, what if, Ulai, perhaps, she won't want to come all this way? And Avram basically says, look, you try your best. So some of the commentaries say that this also is it's a bit like saying, and maybe, who knows, she won't want to come back. Who knows? Hint, hint. I've got a nice girl at home. So some of the commentaries say that the phrasing there is a little bit loaded as well, to suggest that he might have had other ideas. So look, although he's a loyal servant, Avram himself has said, you're my heir presently. So although that changes obviously with the birth of Yitzhak, but nonetheless, he still feels that he's got an opening. So some of the commentaries say that might be his cause for pausing. It doesn't pause forever, but he pauses for thought. And that's the shalshelet. Okay? Now, the next shalshelet is with Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Oh, why didn't I print it? Copy it, whatever. Sorry, I didn't get it for some reason. Oh, that's annoying. In the parsha where it speaks about Joseph avoiding Potiphar's wife, it says, Vayima'en, he refused Potiphar's wife. It says, Vayima'en. So again, it connotes uncertainty, delay, pause, thought. Why that might be.
You're breaking up, Rabbi.
I am? Oh,
Well, you were
am I
just
breaking
now.
up for everyone else?
It,
Sorry, it says
happened
unstable
to
connection.
us
One
as
second.
well.
Yes,
Okay, that's annoying. 1 second, see if that's any better. Is that better?
we can
Well,
hear
you're
Are we
you
back
better
on?
now. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Right, so any thoughts on why Joseph might be hesitant?
Well, he was afraid to disobey the mistress of the house.
Right? Well, by all accounts, she was an attractive woman. She was trying to seduce him. She was really turning on the shop.
You're breaking up again. You've gone completely.
Mhm. Yeah, for us as well. Nope. Oh, he's gone up.
Everything's gone except
Yeah.
you, Pam. You're still here.
Just says I'm the host now.
Oh,
Oh.
yes, because you're speaking.
I think it.
Only
it's
because,
just-
yeah, because you were speaking at the time.
Yes.
He's probably gone off and come back on to get a better line.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah. In the meantime, we recorded.
Mm. Oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that.
I'm on my phone. 1 second.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, but we haven't got the thingy because the
We
computer's
lost you altogether.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. This is my internet problem here. So the computer packed up, unfortunately. 1 second. Let me just. So I might have to do it without the presentation. Okay. So look, she was an attractive woman by all accounts, and he was a man. And men don't always think with their brains when faced with a very attractive woman who is desperate to get them into bed. So basically, it was a conflict. Interestingly, although he's called Yosef HaTzadik, the righteous, he's the only person in the Torah that's described, always described as Yosef HaTzadik, the righteous, we always call him. The fact is that it's, here we go, we're back on. Oh, sorry.
I think he must be on twice. Look, is there? No. Rabbi, I think you're on twice.
I think he knows that.
Okay.
That's
That's
why.
why it's getting the feedback, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Pandos does this one there, doesn't it? No.
I'm seems back on here. Can you hear me?
It's breaking
Can
up.
you hear me okay?
Okay, I don't know what's on. I've got terrible internet. Okay, okay. Right, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Oh, sorry, I've muted you. Right. Okay, let's try. So, here is confronted with a woman who's seduced, and she's turning on all the charm. And even though he's a righteous man, the fact is, it's a challenge. It's challenging. So therefore, he's conflicted and he struggles. And that's the Vayera. He held back. But it wasn't even a righteous man like Joseph. It's a struggle when you're being seduced by someone. So, anyone remember what ultimately brought him through that challenge?
He had a vision of his father.
Very good. Yes. Here's the Gemara in. Nope. 1 second. Would you like to read, Iris?
The image of his father appeared to him in the window and said, Joseph, your brothers' names are destined to be inscribed on the stones of the high priest's ephod, and you will be among them. Do you want your name to be erased? Do you want to be called an adulterer?
Right, and that ultimately, eventually, got him back on the straight and narrow. But what we see from this trot, again, from this note, is that he was going through a struggle. Right, and the final one now is today's Sedra. So today's Sedra, just going back to this, who is the person that's waiting? It's Lot. Right, it's after the whole issue. Basically, he's trying to get out of there. He delays. So let's see what's going on. Let's read the story. Why he delayed and what his crisis is. Here we go. Number 10. Who would like to read number 10?
I'll read.
Any volunteers? One.
The image of his father appeared. Was that one? No. The two men.
No, next one. Two men said to Lot. Yeah.
The two men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your two daughters. Sorry, I've lost the text. It's disappeared.
Oh, that might be down to my. Everyone,
I've still got it.
No, I think it's my phone.
Okay.
Shall I carry on?
Hurry, take your wife
Oh.
and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife, and
Oh,
no, it's gone.
Gone again.
It's just pictures now.
oh. Rabbi's
Rabbi's
gone.
gone.
The text is
Oh
gone.
dear.
Text is gone.
We can see you, Iris, now.
I can see you.
And the words Deborah Heather.
And what?
Deborah.
Oh yes,
We
yes.
can't see a picture. We can't. Yeah.
Ah,
No.
that's Rabbi.
I've got my video off.
No, I know.
So,
Yeah, I've had fun today.
Hi,
haven't I?
Deborah.
Oh,
Rabbi,
okay.
we lost
Rabbi,
the
you're
text
back.
there.
sorry.
We lost the screen sharing.
Yes. So let me finish. I've got it in front of me. She says, right. These two angels said, take your wife and your two daughters, or you'll be swept away. But he hesitated. They grasped his hand. The hands of the wife and daughters led them out of the city. The Lord was merciful to them. So let's just give a little background what's going on here. Like Lot is, what's he hesitating for? God is destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, and he says, he sends angels to rescue you, and you stop. And of course, his wife didn't just stop; she looked back. Right? Why would you do that? So let's just go back a little bit without the screen, unfortunately, to Lot and his, quite literally, lot in life. Pardon the pun. So earlier on in last week's Sedra, you may recall that the various the shepherds were arguing, right? And Lot saw that the Jordan plain was well watered, like Egypt, and he chooses the plain of the Jordan. He goes to the east, makes his home in Sodom, despite the fact that they were known to be wicked. So he puts his lot in with Sodom. He and his family become assimilated. His daughters marry local men. Right at the beginning of that chapter, it says he was sitting at the entrance to the city. And the rabbi said, when you sit at the entrance to the city, usually it means you've been appointed as a judge or an elder. He was actually appointed as a judge or an elder. So he basically got his MBE. You know, he was well entrenched into Sodom. He saw himself as a Sodomite. They, of course, didn't see him in that way. And therefore, when he has visitors and he says to the locals, please be kind to them, we're not told explicitly in the text, but basically the locals we know were, I don't know what you want to say, quite prolific fornicators is a word that comes to mind. And Lot says, no, please, you know, don't assault these guests of mine. They basically ignore him, right? And they try to break in. Why do they ignore him? So the commentators say, because they didn't take him seriously. Although he thought he'd assimilated into the city, they didn't take him seriously. So he's Lot is this kind of contradiction. He thinks he's become like the people of Sodom, but they don't accept him, right? His sons-in-law don't take him seriously. And nobody takes him seriously, basically.
It seemed as though his sons-in-law, they weren't yet married. They were
Or
only
the fiancés,
betrothed, probably, weren't
but
they?
still, they don't take him seriously. Yeah, it does seem that, you're right. They don't take him seriously. It's a cognitive dissonance, right? On the one hand, he thinks he's he's trying to be one of them. You know, it's a bit like sometimes, there'll be something about Israel or Jeremy Corbyn, and you'll find people that you can see the turmoil they're going through. We have it in Israel sometimes when there's political challenges. It's going on now, actually. This will probably very well describe what's going on that Michael posted about on Facebook with the right-wing parties and how a lot of the religious Zionist camp is hesitant, right? It's the shalshelet. On the one hand, we identify with those people. They're our natural home. They're our political parties. On the other hand, we don't identify with them, right? We don't feel that connection. So there's a turmoil. Actually, that's probably quite a good application of it, right? So you've got that. Sometimes also people find, the Jewish community will be under attack or Israel's under attack. And you see people that are hesitant because on the one hand, they don't really want to declare their hand. They don't want all their friends to know that they're Israel supporters or they're Jewish. On the other hand, they feel guilty. So Lot is on the one hand assimilated into Sodom. On the other hand, he's not really assimilated. And they don't accept him. They see him as an outsider. And he's not sure. He's hesitant. Even, it's the Stockholm syndrome also. Even when people say, come on, we're going. This is your chance for freedom. He hesitates and he looks back at the life that he knew.
He must have been very much involved in the life because when the men come, the people of the city come to take the angels away, he offers his daughters to them instead. So he wasn't a particularly righteous person himself, was he?
It's a very, very weird sense of morality, right? Absolutely. Very bizarre sense of morality. No, he's not a nice character at all. But you see, and yet he gets saved because he's Avram's nephew. So you see that, but you see his hesitancy. He doesn't want to leave behind this life that he knows. On the one hand, he's quite happy in Sodom, even though, it's being destroyed, right? It's his home. On the other hand, they don't really accept him. He's a joke. They don't take him seriously. They don't listen to him when he says, leave my guests alone, right? And his sons-in-law don't listen when he says, we have to leave. And for the matter, his wife doesn't listen when he says, don't look back, right? So basically, he's a bit of a joke. Poor guy. He's a joke. He's not taken seriously. Now, contrast that interestingly with Abraham. Is Abraham taken seriously?
I think so, yes.
What happens at the beginning of next week's Sedra, Chai Sarah? Where's the first ever Jewish settlement in the Holy Land?
Hebron?
Taylor.
Right, Hebron, right? I remember my mother said to me years ago, why do 400 Jews live in a city of Arabs and they provoke them and this and that? I said, look, I'm not getting into some of the extremism, but let's just be honest. Hebron was the first holy city given to the Jewish people in the Torah given to Avram. But he bought land there. So, don't get upset that there's Jews in Hebron. It could be that there's room for some more peaceful whatever, but don't get upset that there's Jews in Hebron, So, right, and he buys the what do you call it? Yeah, he buys the
Cave of
plot in the
Machpelah
cave of Machpelah, right? And
from Ephron the Hittite.
what do the Hittim? What does Ephron say? What does Ephron call him? Do you know what Ephron calls him? He calls him Nasi Elokim B'Kirbeinu, a prince of God in our midst. Right, so you've got Lot, who no one takes seriously. Avram, the outsider, the stranger, the weird guy that believes in one God, and they respect him. They give him great respect. So Rabbi Sacks says, unfortunately, you can't see this on the screen. Says Avram, on the one hand, he fought with his neighbors, right? The 4 kings last week, and he prayed for them, but he also lived apart. He was a man on a mission with God. And you know what? They respected that. They called him a prince of God. So this is Rabbi Sacks' quote, his yacht type next Monday, by the way. He says, the equation has not changed. Non-Jews respect Jews who respect Judaism. They are embarrassed by Jews who are embarrassed by Judaism. Never be ambivalent about who and what you are. So he says, from this hesitation, Lot, because Lot doesn't want to leave behind the life he knows. The other examples of the shalshelet are more nuanced, okay? Eliezer on his mission, he can't bring himself quite to sort of, home in on Rivka because he still secretly hopes his own daughter would marry Yitzhak, or he feels that the thing is wrong, right? Yosef, paralyzed by, challenge this system. The other one in Vayera we haven't looked at. I'm not sure what the context of that one is. But what's Lot's hesitancy? So much so that he gets this special note in the Torah. He paused for a long time. And the answer is because he's looking back on the life he knew. On the other hand, he's got a chance of escape. And he struggles. He's struggling with it. And Avram, on the other hand, he's not ashamed of being different. That's the difference. Lot is assimilated into Sodomite society, and despite the fact he knows it's going to be destroyed, he can't bring himself really to make that break with it. He doesn't make the break with it, but it's painful to see. That says, we often see that we become assimilated, and then it's very hard for us to leave that behind when it comes to authentic Judaism. But that's the challenge. Is we have to know when say we might be rich Jews, but we're first as well. Times that the coronation is going to be a good one. How many people say, Rabbi, I'm not coming sure, I've got to go and watch the coronation on TV. Really? You can't watch it Motzei Shabbos on catch up? You don't know what's going to happen, right? Yes, it's Shabbos will continue. Something like a football match where you don't know the outcome. We know the outcome. Charles will be king. Okay. So you'll see it 6 hours later. I won't tell you. Huh? It would be nice to go and participate and wave flags and take the kids to see a very great thing that only happens once in a lifetime. That for sure. But is it a choice of Shabbos or the coronation? No. Shabbos comes first. Right. Okay. Sorry for all the bad connections here. It's terrible. I think we're about to get cut off again because my thing is just saying that it's bad connection. So anyway, I'm going to leave you. Glad everyone could join us from around the world. And BT have told me 6 weeks to get my internet fixed. What I'll do next week is I'll go to Shul. I stayed home today because Gabby's not feeling well. Right, Gabby? Next week I'll go to Shul where we've got good internet. Hopefully we won't have a problem.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Have a good week.
Thank you, everybody.
Rabbi,
Thank you,
I hope
Rabbi.
Rabbi feels better.
Thank you.
Hope Gabby feels better soon.
Me too. Us too.
I think he's gone already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, Iris.